Hello, you're watching the video for the Unit 1 retest review. If you have been given a retest review by your algebra teacher, that means you scored a test score lower than a 75. It's College Station ISD policy that if you fail an exam, you're allowed to retake that test for up to a grade of a 75. That means if you made a 60 on this test and you study and get ready for the retest, that if you make anything that's 75 or higher, that will replace the 60 with a 75 in the gradebook. Now, it's important that you're thinking through how this is going to happen and what's going to happen. So you need to make sure that you complete the review that you're watching the video for right now, and that you take the retest by 4:05 on Thursday, September 12th. Now, that doesn't mean you show up at your teacher's room at 4:05. It means you need to start planning out when you're going to take it and talk with your teacher about it. I also want to remind you that you can do the retest before school, after school, or during fourth period. There are lots of ways for you to get reteaching. The first way is to do what you're doing now, which is to watch the video on Schoolology. The other thing you can do is you can get tutoring before or after school. Now, if you look inside your algebra teacher's room or on the outside of the door, there is an orange piece of paper. I know that's blue, but there's an orange piece of paper that has room numbers and names listed on it. And these are all the teachers that are available to help do any Algebra 1 tutoring at any time. Then you can also get help from your peers. What's important is that you are taking the time to learn this material and make sure you understand what's going on. Now, for some reason, when I copied this over, the little dividers didn't show up, so I'm going to have to write them in. So we're going to start by doing the retest review and starting with problem number 1. So whenever we're solving, I know that I'm going to use "don't call me after midnight." This means distribute, combine like terms, move the variable, add or subtract, multiply or divide. So the first thing I notice is that I can distribute. So I'm going to distribute 3 to both terms inside the parentheses. So I have 4m, because I'm going to write down what I already have. I distribute that 3. I get 3m, because I'm saying plus 3 times m, and then plus 3 times plus 4 gives me plus 12. That didn't write very well, so let me erase that better. And that equals 26. Now, the next thing is, can we combine like terms? Well, when you take a look at this, I see that I have a 4 and an m with a 3 and an m, and those are like terms. So 4m plus 3m, I add the coefficients, so it would be 7, and bring the variable with it. So it would be 7m plus 12 equals 26. So we've combined. Do I need to move the variable? No, I only have one variable and it's on the left. The next thing I need to do is add or subtract. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Now, some of my students draw a line like that to help them keep it organized. If that helps you, that's something that you should do. When these cancel out, I'm left with 7m equals 14. The next thing is, can I multiply or divide by anything? And the answer is yes. I can divide by 7. We're going to divide by the coefficient or the number in front of the m. If I divide one side by 7, I have to divide all of them by 7. 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. I box my answer so my teacher knows that I'm done. Now, taking a look at problem number 2. Again, don't call me after midnight. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute, and I'm going to distribute the 2 to the 1, which gives me 2, and the 2 to the negative r gives me 2r. Plus 4r equals negative 2r plus 3. So I've distributed. Can I combine like terms? Now, some kids get confused about combining like terms. You're going to look at one side of the equal sign and then the other side of the equal sign. can I combine like terms in the yellow box? And the answer is yes. So then that means that I'm going to combine negative 2r and 4r. So I get 2 plus 2r equals negative 2r plus 3. Now the next thing is, do I need to move the variable? Well, yes, I do. I have r here and I have r over here. So I need to get them so they're all on one side. Now it doesn't matter whether you move this 2r or this 2r, but I notice that that's a negative 2r, and so I'm going to add 2r to both sides. So I'm left with 2 plus 4r equals 3. Now the next thing is, can we add or subtract? Now remember, we're trying to isolate this term, the 4r. So I can subtract 2 from both sides, and I'm left with 4r equals 1. Now, can I multiply or divide by anything? Well, I'm trying to get this r by itself, so that means I need to get rid of this coefficient. So I'm going to divide by 4. And I know I'm dividing because 4 and r, when they are side by side, means 4 times r, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So then I get r equals 1/4, or you could have written r equals 2.5. Both of those are good answers. All right, so taking a look at number 3. When students get confused on number 3, it's usually because they don't completely understand what it means. So I'm going to start by taking a look at what it means when we put letters together. So when we put L and W and H side by side, it means they're multiplying. So what's happening here is I have L times W times H. The problem has asked us to solve for H. That means I'm trying to isolate the H or get the H by itself. Now the process is still the same. Don't call me after midnight because I'll get really mad. So, do I have anything to distribute? No. Can I combine like terms? No. Do I need to move the variable? No, I only have one H. Can I add or subtract? No. Can I multiply or divide? The answer is yes. So right now, if I want to get the H by itself, I need to get rid of the L and the W. Well, if they're multiplied, what would be the opposite of multiplying? That's correct. It would be divide. So I'm going to divide by L and I'm going to divide by W so that those divide out to give me 1. But if I divide by L and divide by W, I have to do the same on the other side, L and W. Now I drew that black line there to help you see that the equal sign is what I'm doing it on one side and the other. So I divided by L here and divided by L here, divided by W here and divided by W here. I hope that helps make sense. So I end up with V divided by LW equals H. And I've finished working the problem because all I had to do was solve for H. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Now number 4 is tricky because most people don't realize that there's a ninja 1 right here. They don't see that negative that's happening. So I'm going to write down what I already have, which is 5, and then I'm going to distribute the negative 1 to 2f, which gives me negative 2f, and then I'm going to distribute the negative 1 to negative 5, which gives me positive 5. Plus 7f, because I just write down everything else, equals 20. Now I'm going to draw that line down the equal sign just so that it helps you see what's happening. So I forgot to write my acronym down, so I'm going to do that right now. Don't call me after midnight. We've already distributed, so that's good. Can we combine like terms? The answer is yes. We actually can combine twice on the same side. So I have negative 2f and 7f. Now, for those of you that don't see what I'm doing right away, I'm going to just do it one step at a time. So negative 2f plus 7f, negative 2 plus 7 would be 5f plus 5 equals 20. I am not finished combining like terms. I can actually do it a second time. If you look here, I have 5 and 5. So that would be 5f plus 10 equals 20. And I could have said 10 plus 5f. It doesn't matter. It's the same. Now, I'm still trying to isolate the variable. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. I get 5f equals 10. And then what would I divide by? What would I do? Oh, wait, hold on. I'm skipping steps here. We've combined like terms. We don't need to move the variable. We've added or subtracted. Now we need to multiply or divide. I'm trying to get f by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I get f equals 2. Moving on to question number 5 and 6. I'm looking to see where the rest of my slides are, and it doesn't look like they came in. So we'll just make it work. So taking a look at 5 and 6. So looking at problem number 5, I'm going to solve, so I know it's don't call me after midnight. And I'm going to draw that line to help you see that equal sign. So do I have anything to distribute? No. Can I combine like terms? No. Okay, if I look at one side and then I look at the other side, you can see that I can't combine like terms in the yellow box, and I can't combine like terms in the green box either. So I can't do that. Do I need to move the variable? Why, yes, I do. If you notice, I have 8p and 5p, so I've got to figure out which one I want to move. Now, it doesn't really matter which one I'm going to move, but I'm kind of thinking ahead, and I can see that if I say minus 5p and minus 5p, that this leaves me with negative 14 equals 3p plus 1. And then I can subtract 1 from each side, and I get negative 15 equals 3p. So we've multiplied, we've added and subtract. We moved the variable and we've added and subtract. Now we need to multiply or divide. Again, we're trying to get the p by itself and isolate the p value. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get p equals negative 5. Now that's the same answer as p equals negative 5 if I write it this way. So either way you write it is fine. Okay, I'm going to take a look at number 6. So number 6 is going to be a little tricky for some of you because the fact that it's a negative 0.4 decimal freaks you out a little bit. But all we're going to do is distribute it just like we did anything else. Okay? So the 14 doesn't change. And when I say negative 0.4 times negative 8x, and you want to do that in your calculator, I just don't have one pulled up here on the screen, you get 3.2x. And when I say negative 0.4 times negative 3, I get plus 1.2. Now, I'm still trying to get x by itself. And so I'm going to subtract 1.2 from both sides. And I'm left with 12.8 equals 3.2x. Now, I need to get the x by itself. So I'm going to divide by 3.2. I'm dividing by 3.2. These divide out. Now this is the part you're going to plug in your calculator. When you plug it in, you would say 12.8 divided by 3.2. When you do that, you should get 4 equals x. And we're now finished. Okay, I'm not really sure why my other problems didn't copy in, so I'm just going to write those down. So we're going to move to problem number 7. Number 7 says to solve for c. And it says negative 3c plus 2 minus 6c equals 20. And so what we're doing is we're still using don't call me after midnight. Do I have anything that I can distribute? No. Can I combine like terms? Yes. If you look, I have 2 variables with coefficients that end with c. So I know that negative 3 minus 6 would be negative 9c plus 2 equals 20. Do I need to move the variable to one side? The answer is no. Can I add or subtract? Yes, I can add or subtract. So it's going to be minus 2 minus 2. I get negative 9c equals 18. I'm going to divide by negative 9, and I get c equals negative 2. Because 18 divided by negative 9 is negative 2. All right, taking a look at 8. 8 says to solve for a, and we have 3 parentheses 9 plus 2a equals negative 15. So I'm going to distribute 3 times 9, and that gives me 27. And then I distribute 3 times 2a, and that gives me 6a, because I say 3 times 2 to get the 6a equals negative 15. Now I'm using don't call me after midnight, and that's how come I knew to distribute first, because that's the first step. Can I combine like terms? No. Do I need to move the variable? No. Can I add or subtract? Well, I want to get this a by itself, which is part of this term, which means I need to move the 27. Right now, the 27 doesn't have a sign in front of it, which means it's positive. So the opposite of a positive 27 would be a negative 27. And if I subtract 27 from one side, I have to subtract 27 from the other side. So I have 6a equals negative 15 minus 27 would be a negative 42. Now I'm still trying to get a by itself, and the question is, can I multiply or divide? Well, I want you to look at it. This is what I'm trying to get by itself. If it's 6 and a, that means it's 6 times a, so the opposite would be dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and I get a equals negative 7. Taking a look at problem number 9. Number 9 is n divided by 3 minus 9 equals negative 12. So I'm trying to isolate the variable, and we're using don't call me after midnight. I can't distribute. There's no parentheses, that's how I know. I can't combine like terms on any side. I don't need to move the variable. I can add or subtract. I'm trying to solve for n, which means I'm trying to get this term by itself, which means I need to move the 9. So I'm going to draw that line to help you organize if you need it. If I need to move the 9, what is the opposite of subtracting 9? The answer is adding 9, so I add 9 to both sides. And I'm left with n divided by 3 equals, and in my calculator would say negative 12 plus 9, which gives me a negative 3. Now the entire goal of this problem is to get this n by itself. So now I'm at multiplying or dividing. Well, this is n divided by 3. So have you ever thought about n divided by 3? They used a symbol to represent the n, or a dot to represent the n, and a dot to represent the 3. That's where the division symbol comes from, and that's why it's easy to know that's division. But anyway, the opposite of division is multiplying, so you're going to multiply by 3. If I multiply one side by 3, I have to multiply the other side by 3. So I have n equals negative 9, and we're now finished with the problem. I'm going to take a look at problem number 10. Problem number 10 says, what is the next step in solving the problem below? And they have this problem written. And that was the first step that the person did. And then they have this step as the second step. Now they're really asking, where are you in the process of don't call me after midnight? So they already distributed. That's what happened here. Okay, that's how we got to the red. So then the question is, what's next? Well, if you look at this, can we combine like terms? So if I look at the yellow box and then I look at the green box, can I combine like terms in the yellow box? The answer is no. What about the green box? The answer is yes. So I know that the next step is to combine like terms. And that's all it's asking. So if you're getting ready for the retest, one of the things you can do is you can go back and watch videos from Unit 1. You can also watch this video again. And those are ways that you can help yourself study. You can get help from a peer, meaning somebody that's your friend. You can get help from a tutor in 4th period. You can go by and get tutoring from your teacher. And I'm sure that if you ask for help during class, during homework time, your teacher would be more than happy to answer your question. So go ahead and make sure that you're getting this ready, getting this review done, and remember that you have to take the test by September 12th at 4:05. All right, I wish you luck.